Hello, happy Friday, everybody. I'm Emily Bogus, and I'm here with Bettina Calori, who's one of the co-chairs of our Spring Forward event. This is Beacon's largest fundraiser. It happens now every spring, and we wanted to tell you, typically, we tell you about what's coming up at this event and invite you to participate, which we definitely want to do. You can find all of that information below. But tonight, because it's nighttime for us, we want to tell you about the impact of this event, because there are so many stories that we hear, and we want to share some of those stories with you. So listen in, all right? Bettina, you joined a few years ago. Do you remember the first services auction? It was called the services auction at the time, the first event you went to?
I do. It was down in Fellowship Hall, and there was food and you could sign up for things. It was posted all along the walls to sign up for a lot of fixed price events. I remember really wanting to get on the list for the caroling party. Maybe that was biddable. Now I can't remember. But what I really wanted to do was fill my social calendar for the year and get to know other people at Beacon. And that worked. It was fun.
So is there like a particular memorable event that you bid on and won and loved?
So actually during the pandemic, I signed up for Janet Roberts' drawing class.
Oh yeah.
It was online, and I didn't ever have a drawing class before that.
So wait, this was during the pandemic? Like,
yes. Well, because she
you
offered
learned to
it.
draw online on the pandemic.
Yes, and what's funny, so I learned to draw, and this is my dog, which I learned as a result.
You did that?
I did. This is my dog, and it really, if you know my dog, it's the spitting image.
Did you have any drawing ability before?
I didn't. And so that was the wonder of her class. So, and then a number of us who were in the class actually continued to, because Janet herself learned. I think she also learned online from a teacher. And since, Janet hasn't gone into the professional teaching people to draw business, we went to her teacher. And so it's very cool. So I actually now own a pastel that her teacher made, because she's a great teacher, and I've continued to take classes with her. So it just ended up igniting a real interest.
What looks like a creative passion. Looks awesome.
It's really fun.
And also, didn't Janet offer like a portrait of your of a pet? And did you get that?
I did.
So somewhere in your house is a painting that Janet did of your dog.
Yes. I mean, I could walk over and get it, but
all right. You don't need to take it off the wall. Yeah.
It's
so
much beloved.
Yeah. So it's like the fundraiser, Spring Forward, you can get events, like there's dinners and things like that, but you can also learn a skill from another person, build community, and you can also get things like goods, right?
Right. I've had my bike tuned. I've learned to play pickleball. I've gone to theater.
Oh my gosh.
Carols. It's just, there's a lot you can do. And you can get to know people. It's great.
Right. And I think that's, so often you're like, there'll be groups for people and it's all around an affinity for something. But the nice thing about the Spring Forward event is that these are all things that like you're thrown in with people that like are so different from you. You just like, it's like a random thing. So you'll see who's going to come. And I remember one year, this was before the pandemic, we did somebody offered an ice cream social. And so we got these bowls, everybody got a bowl and it says ice cream for ice cream, along with, I don't know if you can see it, and we use these bowls all the time. And it just like every time we pull them out, it reminds me of the event and how much fun it was like on that first summer day to eat ice cream. And it was all out on that front porch of Beacon. And you just had the most hilarious conversations. And the nice thing about that event was that it was really multi-generational. So there were kids, there were teenagers, there were elders, there were parents, we were all, and everybody gathered around their love of ice cream. And we got to see what toppings people would put on their sundaes. That was the best, and make fun of them. And there were some weird toppings, I will tell you that. The other thing that I remember last year, so of course, like the pandemic has disrupted so much, right? And if people remember in 2020, we had to move to like an all virtual event, what you were talking about, an event in Fellowship Hall that then goes up to the sanctuary for live bidding. That was all disrupted by the pandemic. And so we had a virtual event, and people, because we had 6 months of being in complete lockdown, and people were so excited to see one another. And last year we moved it to the spring, and I was a little bit worried because it was pouring down rain. We had hoped to have the event all outside, just to make sure that people weren't worried about COVID, because it was still Omicron had hit, blah, 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 blah. But then it poured with rain. And so we had to be inside. And I was really worried that enthusiasm that people had was going to go away. And then it was that fear was blown away, because we had one of our members who hadn't been to Beacon even like a year before the pandemic. They had their lives had gotten too full, and they had made a promise to themselves that they would come back to Beacon after the pandemic. And it was the Spring Forward event, because they loved that event so much. And it was the Spring Forward event that propelled them out of the house for the same reason, because they said, I know I can bid on things, and I'll fill up my calendar, and I will be able to build relationships with people throughout the course of the year. And so when I returned from sabbatical, there she was. And I'd seen, different pictures of her throughout my sabbatical doing Beacon things. So it's an event that has an impact, I will say, for sure.
It really does. I think of it as it's that day, but then throughout the year afterwards.
Yeah.
You meet people there, and then you might get involved in some activities. And at least I always am really energized by those.
Well, and we really, even though the pandemic has gone on, we have been isolated from one another. And so this is another good chance for us to come together. And it sounds like a lot of the events, you're really hoping that people come together. Can you just explain a little bit more about that?
So we have been isolated, and that is why one of the things we're really hoping to do is inspire people to give, donate, events they'd like to do that will involve a bunch of people. And so we're really encouraging everybody to think creatively about what you might be able to do at 695 Springfield or at Fort Waldron. Think of it maybe as like the party you could throw, but
the party
not
that you've been
house.
missing. Yeah, that's right.
Not in your house, because it's central. I live in Metuchen. Is everyone going to come down here? I don't know. But Paul and I actually are thinking about doing an ice cream social, and it's a bigger scale thing we can do at the congregation. That would be really fun.
Yeah, I heard somebody talking about offering like a kid's birthday party, because you could do it so wonderfully in Fellowship Hall. And I know that when my kids were little, like if somebody could do that for me, because it was so hard to like be the host of a kid's birthday party. It would be so amazing to have a group of Beacon members throw a birthday party for another kid in the congregation. I don't know if that'll be on the list, but you'll have to see. So,
well, but hopefully you'll inspire someone to get it on the list.
I know. So just for everybody, if you're still with us, if you continued to watch up to this point, Spring Forward is actually on the date on the Saturday, March 11th. That the clocks spring forward. That's why we call it that. It is Beacon's biggest fundraiser. We're hoping to raise $35,000. It goes towards our mission which those are all the ministries. It pays for our staff. It pays for our staff's healthcare. It pays for the programs and ministries. It pays for the music, all the things that you love that we do. It funds. We love that we have a fundraiser that also helps us come together. That's one of the things that I love about Beacon, is how much we love to be together and to celebrate one another. We work so hard at so many different things that I love the fact that we love to celebrate together. I think that's it. I think that's all we have for you. So all of the information should be below. Again, click on it, get your donations in. The sooner the better. Bettina and Stacy are working hard, and we have a few surprises for you. And it'll be March 11th at in the evening this time, in the evening. And the food will be sensational. Oh, one last thing, everybody. I know that we haven't gotten any snow, but so far. But we have a snow date, and that snow date is April Fool's Day. So mark that date on your calendar as well. All right, Bettina, thank you so much. And thank you so much for your gift of leadership for Spring Forward.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to do it.